Welcome to Forensic Frenzy Murder Methods.
You? 911 location of your emergency.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up.
That's exactly what did not happen.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night.
Get around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Hey, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. I'm going to be reading from my notes today because I want the information you received to be extremely accurate. We know you have questions, and so do we. That is why we're here. This was a horrible crime that took the lives of EthanChapin, XanaKernodle, MadisonMogen, and KayleeGoncalves.
The 911 call went out, and first responders were told that they were responding for a 20-year-old female who had been drinking the night prior and was seemingly unconscious. What no one was told is that until the dispatcher sent the 911 callers to check on the 20-year-old female, no one had gotten close enough to truly know what was going on with her. Bethany stated very clearly, "Hi, something happened in our house and we don't know what." She admittedly did not know what. Dylan, can I just tell you what happened pretty much? Dylan thought from the moment of the 911 call that she knew what happened and that it had to be the man that she saw in the house. On the 911 call, she's trying to tell the truth. She's trying to get it out there. This isn't a drunk, unconscious, 20-year-old female. And she hasn't even checked yet. But she is positive that she knows what happened there. And it's not that. XanaKernodle was 20 years old. She was originally from Avondale, Arizona, before moving to Post Falls, Idaho, with her father, Jeffrey Kernodle, and her older sister, Jasmine Kernodle. Her mother, Kara Northington, lived separately. Xana had been found in the room with her boyfriend, EthanChapin. Ethan was also 20. He was originally from Mount Vernon, Washington. His mother, Stacy, and father, Jim, had triplets. Ethan, Maisie, and Hunter, and together the 20-year-olds went to the University of Idaho. Ethan's triplet siblings, Maisie and Hunter, were amongst the first to arrive on scene at 1122 King Road on the morning of November 13th. MadisonMogen was 21 years old. She was from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Her mother and father lived separately. Her mother, Karen Laramie, her father, Ben Mogen. Both Karen and Ben shared Maddie as an only child. KayleeGoncalves was 21. Born in California, originally moved to Rastrum, Idaho, and then to Coeur d'Alene, where she met her best friend, Maddie Mogen. Kaylee's mother, Christy, and father, Stephen Goncalves Sr., had 5 children, of whom Kaylee was the middle child. Police Chief James Fry comes out, and he's a day late and $1 short, and he gives this elongated statement that is super loaded but doesn't have anything in it, all at the same time. And it's so confusing. They said a lot, and at the same time, just nothing. But at that point, they hadn't actually told anyone that the roommates were in the house when this happened. At that point, they made it sound like Dylan and Bethany had just arrived home that morning and stumbled upon chaos in their home. That's not what happened at all.
Facts of the case that we know right now. We know that these homicides occurred in the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th. Around noon, Moscow officers received a call of an unconscious person. Officers discovered the bodies of EthanChapin, XanaKernodle, MadisonMogen, and KayleeGoncalves inside the residence on King Road. The four were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time. There was no sign of forced entry into the residence. Investigators are continuing to collect evidence at the scene. Investigators are working to develop a timeline to relevant events. Autopsies are taking place today on all the victims so we can continue to gather evidence and solve the crime. Investigators are working to follow up on all leads and to identify a person of interest. Based on details at the scene, we believe this was an isolated, targeted attack on our victims. We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there. We cannot say that there's no threat to the community, and as we have stated, please stay vigilant, report any suspicious activity, and be aware of your surroundings at all times. What we don't know, the identity and location of the suspect, the location of the knife or any clothing that was worn by the suspect. We're reviewing video that has been collected, but we are asking citizens to contact us with any information you may have that will help in this investigation.
There's no weapon. There's no suspect. They got away. How did the roommates not know? They had to have known.
Any of the girls at all in the house get any kind of freak weirdness going on in the last couple of weeks that they talked about?
It's been all normal, nothing weird at all.
No calls, no texts?
No, nothing really weird happened. And then when Kitty was at Winco, Xana was in the car, she noticed this guy was following her. She got what she was getting, put it in the car, and she could see in her knee that the guy was behind her in the car.
Okay.
So obviously he was trying to follow her. And then that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then about a week ago, our door is broken, but me, Maddie, and Bo came home and the door is wide open. And obviously, yes, the door is broken, but that could also be something else as well.
With the front door?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever find the back slide door open or anything? Is that usually locked? What's the condition?
I mean, we're pretty good at locking it. I don't think we locked it last night.
Did you ever, in the recent history, have anybody that you thought might have been stalking you or that was just acting weird?
No, but me and Ben were talking. Remember about a month ago, I think one of the police officers that Kaylee was outside taking Murphy out and she saw a shadow.
Yep, okay. Did you hear Murphy barking or doing anything?
Yes, he was barking a lot.
Throughout the night or?
And I heard Kaylee go upstairs, he was barking a lot, and then I could tell that he was outside. I don't know how the police found him because he wasn't in the house.
Okay.
But he has a puppy, he barks, but he was barking a lot if there was someone there.
And that was at 1:32, or was that around 4?
When everything happened.
And when he was barking, when you first heard him on barking after she was up there playing, did you hear him go outside, or did he start outside? Murphy was with Kaylee when they were like dancing. They walked upstairs, he was still with her. And then when she yelled, someone's here, he started barking in the house. And then I believe the slider door was open, and I think he went out that way, because I could tell like the sound of his barking was getting like more distant. Do you think that Murphy would have went after him, whoever he was?
Maybe, but I mean, he's a puppy, he doesn't fully know that.
No, he would just be, if anything, probably playing with him.
Yeah, I don't know. Maddie and Kaylee came home from the club, and then we all went to bed.
What time do you think you got home?
I think I got home around 12:30 to 1.
Okay.
In between there.
And then what time do you think you came home?
Like 10-20 minutes after I did.
Okay. And then Maddie and who else came from the club?
Kaylee, I think they came home like 1:32-ish.
Okay. And at that point, nothing
Nothing weird at all.
Okay.
Then everyone's asleep. At 4 a.m. I like look at my phone and I can hear Kaylee and Murphy like dancing, because I can tell it's her voice and that it's Murphy because he's barking. And then I hear her go upstairs because you can hear like everything. And I heard her say, "There's someone here," and I thought she ran downstairs. And then I jumped up and locked my door because I didn't know what else to do.
Okay. So, you hear Kaylee upstairs, she's dancing, playing with the dog, normal kind of thing, probably.
Yeah.
And then she says, "There's someone here?"
Yeah, when she goes, I can hear her go upstairs, and then I think she's in her room, and she says that someone's here, and I can tell she's scared, and she runs downstairs.
Where do you think she ran?
I don't know if she went past the stairs, or if it was in the living room.
Okay. But you heard her on the stairs?
Yeah, I heard her running like super fast down the stairs.
Okay.
And then I didn't open the door, I just called her name, and I called Xana, KayleeMogen on my phone.
And then you hear her, she says what she says, you hear her hitting the stairs, you open the door, cry out to her?
Yes.
And then you close the door because you're scared?
Yes.
Right? What happens at that point?
I opened the door again, and I heard what I thought was Kaylee crying in the bathroom, and I heard this man's voice say, "It's okay, I'm gonna help you," but it wasn't like in a nice way, like it was just weird, and it was a voice I've never heard before.
Okay.
And then I called out to her, and there was no crying after that. I don't really know what happened after that.
So when you opened the door, you thought you heard Kaylee crying in the bathroom?
Yeah, but it could have been Xana, but I thought it was Kaylee at the time.
Okay. And you said you don't recognize the voice?
No. And then I opened the door again, and the guy is right there. And he's maybe my height, a few inches taller, not like skinny, athletic built. He has all black, he's wearing some masks that covers just his forehead, and here it goes like around. He was white.
So you opened your door. Where was he at?
In between my door and the kitchen.
Okay.
And I saw him go out the door, I believe.
Out the kitchen door?
Yeah, and I just remember saying like, "No, no, no," and I shut the door and locked it as fast as I could. He saw me and I saw him, and he just left.
When the guy in black left, did he close the slider or did he leave it open?
I don't know. I just ran downstairs.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Anything else you can think of that I should know?
All that I really know was me saying that there was like a lot of boom, but I didn't hear it.
Okay.
And I don't really know how I did it because I was on that floor.
You were just right below it, right?
Below me and Xana and me on the same floor.
After he left, what happened?
I called me, and it was like I heard it sound like a firework, and I didn't like put two and two together. And he was holding, it looked like it was this, and this was black, and I didn't think that it was a gun, but now I'm thinking that it probably was. But I was just in and out of it because I was so tired.
You say this?
Like it was cylinder like this, and then it went straight out and then in. So I don't.
Almost like a arrow, or?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It was weird. I couldn't really. I called it like a mini vacuum. I don't really know what it was.
Okay.
And so I told her like I called everyone, they're not answering, and I'm in and out of it. I don't think anything of it. I just think everyone's asleep, and I go to her room, we lock the door, and just go to bed.
Okay.
And then this morning, it's like 11 or 12, and we're calling everyone, and no one's waking up, and we have like a really bad feeling. So I called Daniel's room, and he said you need to call the cops right now.
Okay.
He wouldn't let us see what happened because he didn't want us to see.
Dylan Mortensen starts her story by telling the police that everyone came home. You know, it was normal. They'd been out at the club. She and Bethany had been out with Ethan and Xana, and they were at Sigma Chi, you know, and things were normal. Until they weren't. Because around 4 a.m., she woke up to hearing Kaylee and Murphy go up the stairs, dancing and singing. And there's music. And Dylan doesn't know that on the other side of the wall, that's not Kaylee. So let's start with clearing up Dylan's story. When she awoke, what she actually heard, according to Xana's devices, depicting steps and elevation, that was Xana. And she was also on TikTok. So the music and her singing makes sense. And it didn't even have to be Xana that she actually heard singing, to be honest with you. Either way, she hears someone go up the stairs with the dog, and we now know it is Xana. And at that time, she hears, there's someone here. And the person who says this is mortified. And they run super fast down the stairs. Dylan jumps up and locks her door. She's screaming for Kaylee because she thought that was Kaylee. And then she opens her door again. And this entire time, the dog has been barking. And she hears a man. She hears crying near the bathroom. Doesn't realize that it could be anywhere in the hallway, in the bathroom, or in Xana's bedroom. She just hears crying. And what she thought was the bathroom. Second floor bathroom. And then she hears the man. So one of her roommates just said there's someone here mortified. And now she hears this man in a very menacing way say, it's okay, I'm going to help you. And then there's no more crying. She closes her door. Dylan has grabbed her taser. The batteries are dead. And the next time she opens her door, there's no crying, it's silent. But the man is right there. He's in all black, he's got the ski mask on, and he's wearing black boots. He's carrying something, she can't tell what. It's triangular shaped, sort of like an arrow. It's cylinder, but it's got points. And all she remembers is saying, no, no, no. She looked right at him. He looked right at her. He had bushy eyebrows. She remembers he walked past her toward the back slider door, and she immediately closed her door and locked herself in. She called all of her roommates. No one answered. She called Bethany twice. And on the second call, Bethany answered. And she told Bethany that she thought she saw a man in the house. Bethany told her to come to her room. And that's what Dylan did. They convinced themselves that this entire thing had to be some kind of prank or dream. And they went to bed. They know that there's no forced entry, but that's because they know what Dylan said. They say the early morning hours, but they know that the early morning hours are more than likely between 4 and 4:25 a.m. The Moscow community doesn't lock their doors at night, and that day, Dylan doesn't believe that the door was locked. She says that she is usually the person to lock the door. She doesn't think they did it that night. But if no one locks their doors, then why this house? This was targeted and isolated, but they can't say that there is no threat to the community. The suspect clearly didn't clear the property because he didn't seem to know about Bethany on the first floor. And despite knowing about Dylan, or at least Dylan feeling a superior sense that this person did see her, they didn't kill Dylan. Targeted. Isolated. But we don't know why. So we can't tell you that you are safe.
All pretty much together, or just kind of mingling throughout the house most of the night?
We were all pretty much together, and then Maddie left to go to the club with Kaylee. And then I was with Ethan and Xana most of the night.
You knew that Maddie and Kaylee were home. Do you know when anyone else in the house got home?
I don't know when Xana or Ethan got home. I didn't hear them come in or anything.
Okay. And last time you saw Xana and Ethan was at the cinema guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you hear of anything that happened to anybody?
Mm-mm.
Was there anyone strange or odd hanging around the party?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Do you know of anybody in your house that has an issue with anyone? Any ex-boyfriends? Anything like that?
Mm-mm. All their ex-boyfriends were really nice, and they're still my good friends.
Okay. Did you see anything weird at the party? There at this?
Just normal.
Okay. Have you ever had any of your roommates complain about anyone stalking them?
Mm-mm. Once though, Kaylee said when everyone was like gone, me and were at the sorority house for a meeting, and it was only Kaylee, and she was taking Murphy out to pee. This was a while ago, and she said she swears she saw someone staring at her while she was taking the dog out to pee from the
Remember
backyard.
how long ago that was?
Maybe like a month. She could see like a man silhouette like staring at her.
You think it was about a month ago?
Mm-hmm.
Did Kaylee have any issues with anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. None of them have made any comments or statements of anyone trying to come onto them or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So, let's go a little bit more then. What happened next?
Maddie and Kaylee came home from the club, left.
Maddie and who?
Kaylee.
Kaylee? Okay. And they got home from the club. You know what time that might have been?
I think I told one of the cops that was talking to me at the house, like, better times.
It's okay.
I don't really remember right now. Maybe like
Okay.
2 something, 1.
So if you got home around 1, that would have put them
Like
in home.
1:45, 2, something like that.
So near bar break? If you had to guess.
What?
Like near bar break?
What does that mean?
Bars normally close at 2 o'clock here.
Oh, yeah. They went to grub truck after, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. What'd you do after that, after Maddie and Kaylee got home?
We all hung out in Kaylee's room for a little. And then talked, and then Maddie and I took Murphy out to pee the dog. And then I said I was going to go to bed because I was tired, and she said she was going to go to bed too. And then I went to my room. I was going to sleep, and she came and knocked and asked if I had Murphy, and I said no. And then I went to bed.
Okay. So what time do you think you took Murphy out?
Like 3 to 30.
2:30 to 3?
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you normally take Murphy to go to the bathroom?
Just at the back door.
Okay, so you go there, you and Maddie take the dog out,
Mm-hmm.
and then how long do you think that took?
I was out there for maybe like 10 seconds.
Okay. Okay. So then you both come back in. So you and Maddie both
I
come
came
back
in
in.
before she did.
Okay. Did Maddie still have the dog then?
Yes, I think
Okay.
so.
So you went out for a little bit, came back in. Do you know what time Maddie came back in?
Mm-mm.
And you went straight to bed when you came back in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long after you went to bed do you think Maddie came in?
Actually, I came in, grabbed some chips, went to my room, and watched the show for a little, and then I went to bed.
What were you watching?
It's called Baby Daddy.
Okay. How long do you think you watched it?
Maybe like 30 minutes.
So one episode maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like a half.
Okay. And did Maddie come in during that show or after?
She just knocked on my door, I think, during and asked if I had Murphy, and I said no.
Okay. Okay. So you normally go out the back deck then?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what happened after that?
I just went to bed, and then I woke up and I was like half asleep, and I just thought I saw like a firework or something, like it just sparkled like under my door, and I thought I heard like something kind of fall, and then Murphy barked, but I thought people were just making like food, like, and Ethan was here or something and knocked something over because he's usually loud in the kitchen upstairs.
Okay. So what do you mean by you heard a firework?
It sounded like a little firework, and then there was like a spark by my, like, I'm on the bottom floor.
Okay.
And so it kind of looked like it came down there, but I don't know.
So you heard Murphy bark right after you heard what you thought was a firecracker?
Yeah, something like that, but he like, I don't know, dogs bark at random things. And sometimes when he's happy, he'll bark.
Okay. It didn't sound like an angry growl or anything like that, just a bark?
I don't really know, I was like half asleep.
Okay.
It just sounded like bark.
So, hear the firework, kind of see a spark underneath the door.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy barks. What'd you hear after that?
Pretty much nothing.
Nothing.
That's it.
Okay. And you thought maybe someone was just in the kitchen at that point?
Yeah, just like someone accidentally fell into the table or something. And she was like, Murphy.
Do you know about what time that might have been? Do you have any idea?
4 or something. I tried to call all of them at like 4:20ish around that time, and no one was answering. I thought they just went to bed or something.
Okay. What happened after that?
And then called me. And she said she thinks she saw someone. And I didn't know like really what to think of it, because sometimes we think we hear things a lot in the house, but it's usually just Ethan walking around. But she came, I told her to come to my room, and she could sleep with me, and we could lock the door, and just stay in there just in case if there was anything, and that's all I know. And I fell back asleep.
You didn't hear anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. No one else talking?
Didn't hear something.
Okay. Did you make it to your room then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What time do you think she got in your room?
Around like 4:20, 4:30.
Okay, about the same time.
Yeah.
And did she say anything to you when she got into your room?
She said she thought she saw a man, but I didn't know what to think of it. I was like still half asleep, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I don't know. Okay. It didn't sound like I didn't hear screams, I didn't hear anything. I didn't really know.
Okay.
Bethany gives the same story. Until it got weird, nothing was weird. And then she continues to tell a story of nothing but weird shit. Everything was normal. The party was normal. She was at the Sigma Chi party with Xana and Ethan and Dylan, and she left for a bit before they did, but at the point she left, everything was normal. She doesn't remember when Xana and Ethan came home, but she does remember being upstairs with Kaylee and Maddie and Dylan in Kaylee's room, hanging out, just as Dylan had said. And then she and Maddie took Murphy, the golden doodle, out for Kaylee. And they took him right out the back slider door into the backyard. Bethany didn't stay out there very long. She went back inside, grabbed herself a snack, went downstairs to start watching herself a TV show and fall asleep. And the next thing that Bethany knows, she's waking up to a knock from Maddie. And Maddie's like, "Seen the dog?" And she's like, "Nope." Maddie leaves and Bethany goes back to sleep, and then there's a firecracker, a sparkle under her door. And Bethany believes that something may have projected downstairs that she was able to see and hear, and perhaps Dylan just didn't see and hear. The firecracker and the sparkle, well, the firecracker is what wakes her up. That's how she sees the sparkle, and then her phone rings again. It's Dylan for the second time. And now she answers, and Dylan says, "I just saw a man." Bethany didn't hear any screams or anything like that. She just heard the firecracker and then heard something fall. And the dogs start barking. And the next thing she knows, Dylan is calling. Dylan just saw a man. But Bethany's not sure any of this is even real because Dylan isn't sure any of this is real. So she just tells her to come to her room. They'll go to sleep there just in case there is anything together. But they won't call 911. Not for 8 more hours. Because fear can make you go into a sense of denial. That doesn't even make any sense. I think the worst part is that most people assumed that whether or not they interpreted the details the same, that after arising from this massacre together, Dylan and Bethany would at least have the same set of details. But that's not what happened here at all. These are two entirely different stories. For clarity, there were a lot of things that law enforcement didn't tell anyone. Not just that the roommates weren't just roommates, that they survived through this massacre, that they saw, well, one of them saw the man, that they both apparently heard things, that they concreted what law enforcement believed to be a timeline for these murders. However, in addition to the eyewitnesses, on November 13th, law enforcement also found the sheath to a K-bar knife near the right leg of MadisonMogen, lying in her bed. partially covered by her comforter, somewhat tucked beneath her body. In addition to that, law enforcement had also found a latent shoe print. The shoe print seemingly resembled something similar to that of a Vans, with a diamond pattern on the sole. Law enforcement didn't mention any of those things. So coming out of this on the 13th, the roommates have similar stories. Nothing was weird until it got weird, but shit's always been weird. And now we're both wondering if all that weird shit just came to a head last night. That's their story, both of them. But there's a severe mismatch, and we will get to that eventually. Now, let's focus on the match. The survivors unanimously agreed, in some conversation that takes place after 4:25 a.m., but before their interviews with police on the 13th, that at some time, approximately 1 month prior, KayleeGoncalves had called. She was home alone. She went to let her dog out, and she thought that she saw a man watching her in the woods behind the house. So she called her roommates and said, "How long before you guys come home?" They were practically on their way home. And that's what they told her. And they asked why. And she said, "Because I think there is a man in the woods watching me. I saw like a silhouette, and he's just standing there." So there is a birthday party during the day that Kaylee throws for a friend. And during that birthday party, the dog is running off into the bushes, time and time again, and not returning when he's being called. It's unusual for him to run off and not return. Eventually, this leads them to just take the dog inside, close the door. They take the party in, and they go inside. Then, Kaylee is outside, taking the dog out, and she thinks she sees the silhouetted man in the woods. Following that, Kaylee returns home to find that the rear slider door is wide open and her golden doodle Murphy is missing. She has to go out and look for him. No one knows how the slider got open. On October 29th of 2022, which so happened to be Ethan's birthday, there was a Halloween party. Again, Murphy ran off into the woods many times and would not come back. This time, though, when he ran off into the woods, the group could hear a heavier embodiment moving in the woods, as if the dog was chasing something off or causing something to retreat. They didn't see anyone, but they went inside and closed the door, because this is becoming a habit with the dog. And then, of course, on the night of the murders, just about an hour and a half before everyone inside of the home who was slaughtered, MadisonMogen and Bethany Funk took Murphy out the kitchen slider into the backyard to pee. And it would seem that after Bethany left Maddie outside alone with the dog ran off into the woods. Because Maddie then comes to Bethany's room and says, "Do you know where the dog went?" To which Bethany says no and goes to bed. Now, Bethany never talks about this, but at 2:53 a.m., she received a phone call from MadisonMogen. It was the last phone call that Maddie Mogen ever made. And I believe that that is Maddie calling to let Bethany know that at 2:53 a.m., they had the dog back. They found the dog. The dog is back. And the very next day, on November 14th, they brought a canine scent dog to the crime scene. before the media had really stormed the crime scene, and before many people would ever have a chance to know that it had happened. The canine followed the footprints that were found near the backslider door, followed the footprints seemingly to and fro, and seemingly lost the scent in the parking lot, indicating to the handler that the perpetrator left the home and got into a vehicle in the parking lot behind the home. There was no context as to why anyone was bringing up drugs. And at first I thought it had to have been something going on online with all the nonsense.
2 a.m. is a dark hour, I can tell you that. We're all. It's important for us. I mean, the reason we've agreed to do this is there's some misinformation out there. And that's been hard for us. And that's why we, as a family, talked about it and agreed to do this, because the things that are being said are 100% not true. There's not drugs involved. There's not some weird love triangle. Ethan stayed the night at his girlfriend's house, who was one of 5 girls who lived in the home. And it's just important that people let the criminal part of it try to work itself out, and that.
But the day before that interview, it had been stated in police record that there had been a $2 bill and suspected drugs found on the 2nd floor in the west bedroom, the bedroom of XanaKernodle. And many of the police records refer back to asking witnesses, did any of the housemates use drugs or sell drugs or store drugs? The next day is the presser. We've been watching. And between that day, November 16th, and November 17th, autopsies are conducted on the 4 victims. Coroner Kathy Mabbitt, not just the coroner, but a registered nurse and a defense attorney.
Kathy, with a C, Mabbitt, Mabbutt. I got the call just a few minutes after noon that there were 4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first. So I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
So in your experience, what is it that you saw when you showed up?
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was a very sad scene with 4 murdered college students.
You're ruling all 4 deaths homicides?
Yes.
And can you give us a manner of death? Yeah.
I believe that the press release was that they were from a sharp object. So
stabbings.
Yeah, I will know more after the autopsies tomorrow.
And do you believe this could be a murder-suicide?
No, there are 4 homicides.
4 homicides. Okay.
Well, the toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death.
Yep. Thank you. Do you know what the time frame for that would be?
It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is, but.
Okay. So it was like the 4 to 6 weeks.
It could be. Yeah.
And while most of the witnesses denied that Kaylee or Maddie, Dylan, or Bethany used drugs, there were many that openly admitted that Xana and possibly even EthanChapin were pretty into drugs?
There are likely some defensive wounds, but no, there just were a lot of stab wounds. And so, I mean, you know, it was late at night or early in the morning. So it seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
Were they found in separate areas of the house?
That hasn't been disclosed yet.
And so can you tell me if there were multiple stab wounds per victim, or were these sort of, you know, individual lethal stab wounds that may have been less in number, but more in lethality?
There were multiple stab wounds, yes, on them. So, and
were there? Go ahead.
And most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound. Yes.
Can you describe what that one might have been?
But they were to the fatal ones were to the chest area or the upper body area.
Were there, Ms. Mabbutt, we showed a picture a moment ago of a wall on the outside of the house. It looked like the foundation on the outside of the house. I'm going to ask the control room to put that picture up again. This was fairly shocking to see. It's blood dripping on the outside of the house, almost as though it may be seeping from the inside. Does that sound congruent with the results of the crime scene that you were able to ascertain from your work?
From my observations, yes.
And can you tell me if that means that this might have been one of the bedrooms or where the beds were, that one of the victims was stabbed, this particular area of the house?
I think that's pretty likely, yes.
Is there anything that stood out in that volume of information that you received that might lead police to say it was a targeted attack? Because that's confounded a lot of us.
Right. Yes, I didn't share that same, I don't share that same opinion, really. I you know, there's 4 people that have all been killed at one scene and 4 young college students. So all of them were stabbed and all of them were killed. So I'm not sure how that is targeted.
Came forth and said many things. Many people did not like the things that coroner Kathy Mabbutt had to say. In truth, Ms. Mabbutt was one of the only people who tried to tell you anything like what happened in the home. The majority of the victims were found in beds. The majority of the victims were likely asleep. She did not specify that one victim may not have been asleep because, A, she probably didn't know about Dylan's interview saying that someone was running up and down the stairs. And B, what she did know is that one of them was on the floor. On the floor does not mean that you were awake. So, likely an unintended fallacy that she told there. The coroner also stated that for the majority of the victims, there was one lethal stab wound, that it was to the torso or the upper body. And Olivia Goncalves seems to agree that from what she's seen between her sister, KayleeGoncalves, and her best friend, MadisonMogen, on the 3rd floor, the majority of these injuries were almost experimental and post-mortem. And my favorite thing that the coroner says is, Ashley Banfield is like, so what are they saying about this being targeted and isolated, but that they can't say that the community is safe? Is that even possible? And Coroner Kathy Mabbitt says, basically, I don't fucking share that sentiment. I don't even know what that is. That's dumb. However, the next day on November 18th, law enforcement finally see from their video surveillance of the neighborhood that there is this white car and that it arrives around 3:30 a.m. and circles the home several times. And it doesn't seem to leave until right after Dylan sees the man in the home. And everyone in the King Road residence is dead. On November 20th, the Goncalves family came out very boldly in a news interview that, for the most part, was missed by a lot of people. It was with Fox's Cross Country.
Our son went to that college. No, absolutely not.
My daughter was aware of her environment.
Very aware.
She turned her camera on. She would film when she thought somebody was following her out of a mall parking lot or a grocery store. She was very aware that, she was a pretty girl and that, it could attract some problems. So she was alert. She was a streetwise child.
She herself was a web sleuth, literally through and through. Listen to, which is just so ironic and just so surreal in all of it. Just very, sad for families when she'd hear about this type of stuff happening. Like, Mom, did you hear about that? Or Mom, did you hear about that?
Keep track of it.
And she was very well of her surroundings, very well. I mean, she would think somebody was following her and she would call me and say, Mom, I think there's somebody following me. And I'm like, well, Kaylee, call the police, and then she'd say, oh, never mind. They just turned into 7-Eleven.
And they stated very sternly that their daughter, KayleeGoncalves, was aware of her environment. Very aware that she was street smart, that she was a web sleuth herself, and that when she thought someone was following her, she would record. That this happened enough for her to reach out and call home when this happened and say, I think someone is following me. And her mom would say, Kaylee, call the cops. And she'd say, oh, never mind. I think they just turned into a 7-Eleven. Without anyone thinking that maybe they saw her on the phone and assumed she was calling the cops. A similar story would be repeated on November 23rd by the Goncalves family as well. And on that day, law enforcement would get a piece of information that they would hold on to with secrecy for a very long time. On November 23rd, they got Xana's phone records back. And they knew that she had been awake. She'd been on TikTok. She'd ordered DoorDash. And at 3:59 a.m., her DoorDash order was delivered. So when Dylan says that she heard someone in the kitchen at 4 a.m. listening to music and dancing, that makes sense. There'd be 7 bleak weeks. And for the most part, law enforcement would say the same things again and again and again. We need to know more about the night of Ethan and Xana. We keep hearing about this stalker that KayleeGoncalves had. We can't confirm that. And X, Y, or Z individual has been cleared. All of the obvious suspects, back, to back, to back, to back, to back, were cleared by DNA and alibi. No one really seemed to understand what had happened. What was this? How could this 911 call have gone out for a 20-year-old unconscious female and turned into 4 slaughtered college students, dispersed across 2 floors of a home, engaged in 2 different bedrooms, in pairs? How did this happen? Who did it? who did this. And then one day, out of desperation, law enforcement comes pleading to the public, and they're like, we are looking for a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra, as well as its occupant or occupants. So seemingly without anyone knowing it, on that K-bar knife sheath, there was DNA. And it wasn't blood or sweat or spit, but skin cells, and quite a bit. So the Idaho State Lab takes this K-bar knife sheath, and they find that DNA, and they know it's single source, and it belongs to a male. But this person's not in CODIS. They've never been in trouble before. What? So now they're more interested than ever. And they contract with this company out of Texas called Othram. Othram runs genealogy on it, right? They build out a family tree. They come up with 4 brothers. They call one. He's like, fuck you. I have zero interest in helping you. They turn over to the police and they're like, hey, look, we found 4 brothers, but they have zero interest in helping us. Don't know what you're going to do? Because we can't go any further. This person is not themselves in a database that we search. So, nothing. And the FBI is like, well, let us see what we can do. So on December 19th, the FBI gets this IGG hit, this investigative genetic genealogy hit. And they've got a name. And the next thing we all know, 11 days later, we've got a name.
Thank you for coming today. Last night, in conjunction with the Pennsylvania State Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, detectives arrested 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee. I want to personally thank these agencies for their assistance in this case. Kohberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University. We will provide as much information as we can about the extradition to Idaho and the criminal process. However, due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today until Kohberger has his initial appearance in Idaho court. To recap this case, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at about 1:56 a.m. after visiting a local bar and street food vendor. Ethan and Xana were at the Sigma Chi house before arriving home around 1:45 a.m. The 2 surviving roommates had also been in the community but returned around 1 a.m. On the morning of November 13th, a 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m. reporting an unconscious person at the residence. The call came from inside the home from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow police responded and found 2 victims on the 2nd floor and 2 victims on the 3rd floor. On November 17th, autopsies were conducted and the Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 victims. The cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times. These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, We do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very complex and extensive case. We developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done, but be assured the work is not done. This is just started.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohberger, and let me preface, there's a pending case now in court, and I in my office and the investigators have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, I promise you we will share with you through the court process or otherwise whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate your patience on that. The factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohberger is physically back in Latah County and has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant. At that time, we expect that that affidavit will be available to you so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all of the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please have patience with us on that. We hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over in Pullman. He has had an initial appearance in front of a judge in Pennsylvania. He is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back in court in Pennsylvania next Tuesday afternoon, and that a public defender has been appointed for him there. The process at this point is, since he was arrested in another state, he has the opportunity to either waive extradition and return voluntarily to the state of Idaho, or if he prefers not to waive extradition, then we will initiate extradition proceedings through our governor's office. If we do that, it can take a while for him to get here. So again, I'm asking for your patience and understand that's just the way the system works. Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need to refer you to. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. As an attorney, myself and my office, we are limited on what we are allowed by the courts to say outside of the courtroom. So please just work with us. Finally, as the chief indicated, this is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning. Y'all now know the name of the person who has been charged with these offenses. Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward, call the tip line, report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why.
The day of the arrest, the police came out and they told us all the name of the person who had been accused of slaughtering the 4 Idaho 4 students. Bryan Christopher Kohberger of Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, had been arrested for slaughtering MadisonMogen, KayleeGoncalves, XanaKernodle, and EthanChapin, while Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk slept in the 1122 King Road home. What they didn't tell you was that Bryan had already started making moves. He had already been assigned counsel. Chief Public Defender of Kootenai County, Ann Taylor. And on December 30th of 2022, just as Bryan Kohberger was being arrested, by and through his attorney of counsel, Ann Taylor, he requested a non-dissemination order. The defense and Bryan would state that this was a very high-profile case and that they didn't need any information about Bryan or the case leaking out to the public. Ann Taylor, she had a story. And it was pretty good. And I think that's why they wouldn't let her speak. They were afraid of her story.
All right, anything else you can think of that I should know?
All that I really know was me saying that there was like a loud boom, but I didn't hear it.
Okay.
And I don't really know how I didn't because I was on that floor.
Because you were just right below it, right?
One was below me, and Dana and me on the same floor.
After he left, what happened?
I called me, and it was like I heard it sound like a firework, and I didn't like put two and two together. And he was holding, it looked like it was this and this, it was black, and I didn't think that it was a gun, but now I'm thinking that it probably was, but I was just in and out of it because I was so tired.
You say this.
Like it was cylinder like this, and then it went straight out and then in. So I don't, maybe.
Almost like a arrow, or?
Yeah, kind of, but it was weird. I couldn't really, I call it like a mini vacuum, I don't really know what it was.
Okay.
Looking back, Dylan realizes that provided what Bethany heard and that she saw the man carrying something, she thinks it was a gun. And it makes sense to her. It may have been a gun. She didn't realize at the time, but now it makes sense. All this is real. And they were stabbed to death, but was that man carrying a gun? Bethany. Man. They negated everything that she told them. It just didn't matter to them. It just didn't matter to their investigation. That's unfortunate. Because after 7 bleak weeks, an arrest would be made. And to the arrestee's attorney, what Bethany said would matter an awful lot. It's the original domino that started building the craziest story that they would never let her tell. That story was terrifying to them because they hadn't even investigated it. They hadn't taken a look.